If you're watching this on a replay, I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes to get in here, so you might want to fast forward. It was a live stream. 1 second. What's up, Tommy? How you doing? Yeah, Bitcoin. One thing I will note, you see how once price starts to do this number, so see how we have this fair value gap, price comes into it, break a structural displacement, right? What does that displacement cause? For some reason, my undo is not working on TradingView. I'm actually about to, let's see if this, actually, let me do something else. Sorry, I used Control Z. I'm a hotkey person. I can't not have it. There we go. For whatever reason, it wasn't working on the other window all day. I actually don't mark my charts up that much whenever I'm not live for you guys are showing stuff. But as soon as I'm live and I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta have Control Z. But yeah, what I was getting at is we see over in this range, really Bitcoin was just manipulating a lot of short traders out of the range, right? They take the shorts, right, stop the longs, and it just max retail manipulation up here, induce breakout longs, take shorts. So, we're kind of consolidating here. We see that the 4-hour expansion, we have a little bit of a complex pullback here in a way. Now, the problem I have is this right here. See how we don't close above that? So, that could tell me that we are just coming up to take out buy stops there. Also, we are due for a little bit of a retracement, in my opinion. I don't think that we have to have one. Somebody said ETH short, bro. Give me a minute. I will get into it. I'll go into ETH next. And what's up, Easy? Yeah, anybody that's in the private Discord today killed some fucking Forex today. USD CAD, well, I'm going to go over that in a little bit. That shit had me so sad. I mean, it was a break even trade. It was actually a little. I got dinged for like 0.1% after fees just because it was a heavy position due to the small stop. But you know, um, we're actually going to review that one and go over it. There's a good bit to learn off of it. But we're looking at Bitcoin here. We have this massive expansion. Then it starts to get a little weaker, then weaker. So what this is looking like, in my opinion, until we get above this high, it looks like a 3 drive. On the daily, it's almost even clearer. So a 3 drive is an ICT thing. I didn't make it up, but it's a basically a distribution scenario where smart money is starting to take their profits. Now, um, I know that with Wyckoff, this is a thing. I'm not sure about with ICT concepts, but for instance, see how the distance between this move is much more than this move, and then this move is much more than this move. So these expansions are losing momentum until now. This can all change, right? Because I'm going to give you guys my 1 hour look at things, and really this high to me is pretty important. How we react above it, because it looks like we want it right now. But the 4 hour kind of gave us this complex pullback here where we came up, we created a weak set of lows here, right? In my opinion, also, since we didn't close above that high. So originally I was looking for us to come down and take out these lows, trade into this imbalance. So my bias, if we stay under this and don't close a high time frame candle above this right here. Now the weekend always brings mayhem, so when we know that, so we'll see how what that brings. But if we fail to close a candle under this high, I'm looking to take out these lows and come back in this imbalance. So look at the daily chart though. The daily seems like it's still pushing for something to the upside. It is Friday. If we're looking at the weekly candle, The weekly still looks fairly strong, in my opinion. I mean, we're definitely in a premium of this fair value gap. Also, right bounced off of equilibrium off of this weekly impulse swing right here. So we're at a very trying to think of the word for it. We're at a place where price is likely to be a little boring, so to speak, and consolidate and decide which way we're going to expand. The daily, to me, this candle right here tells me we want these lows, all this down here. That kind of liquidity rate, again with a 3 drive. Really what I'm waiting for to confirm that is if we put in a lower high. But when I'm looking at the 1 hour, um, you know, I see we have this fair value gap originally over here, right? Price came up, got a displacement break of structure, pushed back down into the fair value gap. Right, then we expanded to the upside, took out a lot of stops, took out a lot of liquidity, everything up, even up there. So what I'm looking at, what I want us to stay under specifically is this breaker right here. So the reason I'm looking at that as a breaker is it was the last order block before we took the stops. And this was the actual, the stop hunt, so to speak. So for instance, we had our rate on liquidity. Oops, apologies. We had our rate on liquidity and then the stop hunt, right? That breaker block is what, we look for that with a stop hunt. So not the first initial rate on liquidity, right? Then we see the displacement, the downside after this. This is where smart money entered. Dumb money shorted here, and then smart money liquidated them, push price down. So we definitely got a displacement break of structure all throughout here. So looking at the 1 hour, we already filled this imbalance over here. But price, when it came back down, went a little deeper than this imbalance right there, but we didn't break the lows. Maybe that's on the 15-minute. Nothing really. But we came into that region and then we saw price move rapidly away from it. So that tells me something up in this region is being seeked. I don't know which high necessarily it is, but ideally, when we have this big impulsive move down, and we can go to a 4 hour and really get this impulse move. Ideally, we want some form of price delivery array in a premium, right? Or a liquidity pool. Ideally, a combination. So what I like is these highs right here. We've got that buy side liquidity right there, and then you've got that breaker block just above. Because if I prefer playing fair value gaps. Now there aren't really any, right? Price moved down, it was moving efficiently, right? It moved with displacement, but the fair value gap that we did have right there was filled. So for me, I don't see any kind of clear fair value gap, not on a 15-minute. Yes, there's this right here, I guess. We could pay attention to that as well. It's a possibility, but I'm just going to be watching price in this zone above these highs. So I'm going to go ahead and set an alert for that level. I won't be trading on the weekend, unfortunately. So if this happens, I'll probably send an alert. Um, if that happens, but that's something I won't be able to participate in if it happens this weekend. So now, if price does get into that zone, what I would be looking for if I were trading on the weekend would be a similar schematic like this, right? You have this high, liquidation into these highs right here. Right, price is going to move off of them, and that's normal, right? That doesn't mean just short. As soon as it moves off, it's going to go up here. Well, I shouldn't say it's going to. If it does, react to them, when we know it's a liquidity pool, we want to see that stop hunt. This is important. And this is also important whenever you're using supply and demand and using low time frame confirmation. If you don't respect the fact that there's most likely going to be a stop hunt, you will take much more losses than is necessary. You might still have a high risk to reward and make up for those losses, but it's just, in my experience, I've had better numbers waiting for the liquidation on the lower time frames. And for me, a lower time frame in this scenario would probably be a 1 minute. I'd be pretty aggressive with it. But I need displacement. So I want to see, push up into the area and then like a big rapid move like this. And then we're going to look for a fair value gap before taking it down. Now, if you were looking to swing the trade, like if you want to take it all the way down here, I'd probably wait for a 15-minute break with displacement. And that's what's important, is being reasonable with your entries and your exits. So if you find a 1 minute entry on, just a liquidity raid, don't try to ride the entire trade all the way down to, this imbalance. I mean, sure, it might work, but if we're going to do that, I recommend at least using maybe at the lowest a 5 minute, but really a 15 minute. And then you get entries kind of like this, like, we broke up and you came back down to a discount of this fair value gap and then move to the upside, target these highs. That's I would just, if you're looking to swing it, I would trade the 15 minute. But now if we don't react anywhere up here and we close above these highs, right? If Bitcoin does close above these highs, a 4 hour, that'll be pretty bullish. And I wouldn't necessarily look to just short it right away, because then, we're in expansion mode. That would be a break of structure, the 4 hour swing structure. And yes, we could expect a pullback, but at that point, I'd be looking for this imbalance more likely than not. So that's where we're at with crypto. I'll do ETH. Actually, ETH had a similar setup to like some of the indices, and it's not super similar. But oh, it reached into the imbalance. That was yesterday. I haven't really looked at ETH much. Um, these highs right here seem interesting. A lot of equal highs right there. So if we look at a 4 hour, it'll be a little more clear. You see that? Then there's an imbalance right above it on the 4 hour and 4 hour supply, and psychological 2000. So that's probably where you're going right now. That's where I would look. Now, you did just rebalance. Um, there was a tiny imbalance. I know this looks like there wasn't, but um, it was like very, very tiny. See that? So you did just rebalance that. I mean, you take out the grain of salt. It was not much. It came above a clean high. Let's see what the 4 hour did. Yeah, 4 hour. See, it just seems like it's absorbing that supply. No displacement of the downside. Prices hit it, kind of consolidated, and now it's pushing the upside. But for ETH, I like these highs up here. I know it's a little different than crypto's uh, or not cryptos. I'm sorry, Bitcoin's TA. But I like those highs. Somebody actually pointed this out to me earlier. The monthly of ETH looks like it's going for this fair value gap. I don't really use the monthly for that as much as like price delivery. Just the institutional order blocks. Whereas I would just look at like this, like these levels be like literally at. You have a massive fucking range, as you can see. So take that with a grain of salt as well. But yeah, for ETH, I would frame. I'm not going to trade on the weekends, but I would look for these highs. It's just they're too obvious. Yeah, I'm gonna do link. I promise. I got you. And what's up, Adaliki? Um, looks like it reached into our daily order block. I remember somebody asked me. It's going for these highs, in my opinion. Right. The only thing that's probably going to stop that from happening is Bitcoin just absolutely tanking. Um, that's what I would look for. Doesn't seem like this order block is little to no reaction here. So also, if you're looking at the weekly, I mean, I don't know what else you're going for, but I would look for a reversal above that. Not immediately. I wouldn't just short it, but I'd start to look for a short narrative to begin to play out. And you can see it's definitely drawing towards this, right? I mean, like I think, when did we go over link? I don't honestly, I don't remember. I think it's been a while. But I think it's been definitely since earlier this week, which today's the 12th, Monday was the 8th. I don't think it was maybe it was this week. I don't know. But if that was the case, we gave our, bias. we had one red day. So that means if you were to get in, on liquidity rates during session at any time, or on any day, I should say, you ate, right? And it happens. I don't, it's right here. Look, liquidity raid, right? Push the upside right here. Liquidity raid, push the upside through Tokyo. Big liquidity raid in London, push the upside, right? Not really a clear one in this area. Just kind of flew. But here, liquidity rate in London, then in New York, even in Tokyo. But you can see that it's starting to kind of um, the expansions are getting uh, less powerful, I should say. This one's reaching up, starting to accumulate right here. Looks, I mean, it's going. I would look for it to go to 9.672. I'll set an alarm for that. Adam, what was that? What you had, or did you have something different, Tommy? I'm just curious. I always like to know what other people have as well. Adam, I haven't looked at Adam in a while. So first thing that catches my eye here when I'm looking at a weekly chart is how we moved off that low. So, uh, shit, fucking hell. Sorry. Is how he moved up this low. So he took out that low. Not really any imbalances below, but looks like there's this little sell to buy range you tapped into. So some form of demand there. But more important to me is you took out this low, and that's important. That was the yearly low for 2021. So after that, I mean the weekly chart is pretty wild. Next stop on the weekly I would look at is somewhere in this imbalance right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark the weekly imbalance. I have so much stuff I need to get rid of. They're my old colors. So the weekly is drawing up in here for me, somewhere in this imbalance. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark it as well, and that way I can look in somewhere here on daily. I think you might see some trouble above these highs right here. I'd probably look for the top one. I'm going to mark these equal highs. They're relatively equal, but to me, it's just I know there's going to be a lot of short stops up in that area. And also, you're entering the weekly imbalance there. So overall, you look like you're going to 12.512. It's kind of sloppy. This doesn't really. I mean, it's moving. You know what I mean? But it's not the prettiest, in my opinion. But you see how the price came up? It came above these old highs, left an imbalance. Price came back down. It went lower than you would have liked, really, so to speak, but moved off of that pretty sharply off of this candle. Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's looking pretty decent. I mean, I can't say I would have caught these moves because this is not really like clean. It's not like massive movement, So there's not really a whole lot of displacement. Yes, there's some imbalances, but okay. You said you're in a short on link from 931. Looking at 894 as a TP. Yeah, I would just de-risk, because I think there's a really good chance that it's going to get above those highs, or that high, I should say. There was like that one clean high. So we're seeing the introduction of demand in that massive 4-hour candle. Now, I think this, potentially could be refined. We didn't really come into the premium or the discount of this fair value gap. So, yes, we got a reaction here. Yes, we got a 15-minute change of character, if you will, up in this region right here. Whether you use a closure, wick, whatever, you got it. So, that if we're looking at what demand really started that, kind of seems like it was already mitigated. Maybe even mark something down here in this region. I probably wouldn't participate. It's kind of just too iffy for me. It's a little sloppy, and then you've got this right under, your area. But one could look for the 5 minute to go bullish if we reach this zone, maybe this little fair value gap, and layer your confirmation entry through there and frame that trade around these equal highs. I'll set alerts for it just to watch and see, because if I can get displacement as price reaches these zones, that's really something that is important to me is um, displacement, man. Like if you don't have a clear don't have something telling you that there's a big force in the market you're in, I just go to another market. But by the book, if you don't refine this 4-hour POI, price came onto it, 15-minute change of character. So then we identify what demand. I like this zone personally. Not where it's at, but it's the fact that it swept this low. I like that. So you had that push up. Then there was some displacement here. You could refine it to this. I'm cool with where it's at. Really, actually, I'm going to move it up to here. I'm going to move this whole sell to buy range just to see, because again, I'm just kind of watching it. Again, looks like maybe a little 3 drive action here in the lower time frames. Um, looks like you are get above this. No. First liquidity rate, second. Haven't really got anything on the 1 or the 5 minute, but a 1 minute's probably. Um, yeah, I mean, again, it's just kind of sloppy. Got that, and then you move back up into the imbalance here pretty immediately. And that could have been a trade idea. So, and that's really all it comes down to. These liquidity raids is identifying a pool of liquidity, watching how price reacts to it, low time frame, a lower time frame than the one you found the liquidity pool on. You want to scale in and look for breaks of structure the downside with displacement. This would have looked something like, you could have just took it right there. Now you could either do the swing high, or up here, this one you probably would have wanted to use the swing high. Just target the next obvious area, right? If you can I'd target this imbalance. You get a 2-to-1 with liquidity raids. I've been messing around a lot lately and taking 2-to-1 trades. If you do it correctly, um, you do have a much higher win rate. I will say that. So I've always been one to look for higher risk to reward, but whenever playing these, 1 minute scalps, I mean, 2R usually in about 5 to 10 minutes is totally fine with me, especially if it's 70% win rate. And that's what it's about at for me right now. So, and I've just been really hitting these this last 2 weeks, but I'm starting to really, really fucking like it. I will say that, um, because it moves so fast. But for Adam overall, I would look for the thing with those is you have to take profits like so fast. You can't get like sucked into the idea of holding on to it, or at least take up 90%, 80% of your position. So overall, I would look for return down to this zone. If you can introduce demand on a 15 or a 5 minute there, I mean, I would start to frame uh, longs targeting the equal highs. I'd trim along the way, but when we get that close to that, what I'm viewing as a draw on liquidity, actually, I would probably do this number just to be safe, 12.34, because now those actually kind of are equal highs. That is what I would do. And also it'd be the previous daily high. I don't know if that probably definitely won't happen all today. I wouldn't think, but so yeah. Overall, after that though, I could see some retracement. You've got a shitload of trendline liquidity. You've got on the daily, you've got a clean low, front running an imbalance. So I could definitely see some downside. And again, I would really just be paying attention with Bitcoin. Use that as a guide. You know what I mean? What was the next one? Joe Money wants sand. I haven't looked at a lot of alts recently. I have an alert set for this level. These highs I like. I'm actually gonna delete this setup, but I like these highs. I mean, it's just too clear to me. Right. I gotta save this. I don't know why. I like this a lot right here. I would, we look like we're consolidating here. You could maybe see this imbalance, because it seems, we came down to it, we reacted, but doesn't seem very, what's the word for it? It doesn't seem like a very strong reaction. Sorry, my brain's fried, but yeah, we didn't get a break of structure out of it. Now, it's not to say we won't. The 4 hour. Let me take a closer look before I say that, because we on the 4 hour you got that break to the upside. I mean, I would look at this as like the interest, just because it swept liquidity. So it's going to be on a 1 hour. It's going to be something most likely. Oops. It really already got tapped into over there. Let's actually just go through so this would be, let me go to 15-minute now. So what I'm doing is I refined that from a 4 hour. Now I want to see what on the 15-minute, how did it react? Because I refined it to a 1 hour zone, but it was originally from 4 hour. This to me would be the order block right there, that big down candle. You see, obviously, we got break structure above that, and it's sloppy, but new demand was being introduced in these zones, right? And you can see each time we're moving off that demand, but for whatever reason, we're coming back down and clearing out these lows. So that tells me that um, this may be forming more of like a complex pullback. So if that's the case, we're looking at the 4 hour, and 4 hour swing structure. Holy shit, it's all the way fucked up. I would say this with a break structure. You really didn't get any pullbacks there. Break a structure. Really, your whole swing range is right here. So I want to see on the daily what that looks like. Yeah, I like this down here, to be honest, just because if we're looking at the 4 hour too, we have now these weak lows that are getting formed because they're failing to do their job and take out the highs. When you have these lows that form, there's a lot of liquidity there because all of these bulls are long here, 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 all through, like we just showed you, and even some, those trades have won, but there is still a lot of longs that have stops in these areas. So, and I like this daily demand candle right here. I mean, this is going to be refined. It's theoretically not demand on daily, but because it didn't break any structure. But I know it is on a lower time frame. I would mark this candle just because there's that little fair value gap there. But mainly, main thing is just the daily imbalance. That would be where I'd be paying more attention. So I'm going to mark that up. I'm going to send an alert for that. Also got just this general sell side liquidity here. Son of a bitch. Delete that. Or I don't know why I put off doing that. It's probably been like, I don't know how long. But I like this zone anywhere between 122 to 122.65 to 120.59. And after that, I would watch the 4 hour to introduce new demand, and you could look for longs up into these equal highs, in my opinion. Bell, yeah, I got you. What's up, ZP? Yeah, I mean, this is actually I like this because it's manipulated, right? Well, I think these longs are going to get stopped out too. We'll see. And a lot of this you have to take with a grain of salt. It really just depends what Bitcoin wants to do. I don't know what that was, but oh, what's up, Scorpion? I just saw you were in here. Yeah, and I'm just the main thing for me is see how, we're breaking down a displacement, we're filling making these fair value gaps, but yes, we're moving the displacement to the upside, but we're not breaking any structure, right? We're staying under these supply zones. It looks like just bearish order flow is in play. Yeah, for sure. What's the question, Adeliki? Yeah, that's really it for sand. I would look to frame possible sells down into the sell side liquidity. After that, I would probably look for longs or at least get out of the shorts. I do want to review. Oh, holy shit! I took a trade on NOS the other day. Yeah, it's like we've been, we talked about. It's crazy how fast it came because I remember we were looking at this high originally, and now we're all the way up to these equal highs. I know now it's moved off our original target yesterday. I moved this. You guys that have been watching the streams for a while know we had it here, but I moved it back up to this major high just because we've already cleared the one high. I caught a little PM trade, just a little 2 to 1 that up into the highs over here, right in the I think it was actually to a 5 minute imbalance, not the highs. There's an imbalance right there. Okay, you said what do I look for in a particular POI out of the many in the charts on a time frame? That's a really, really good fucking question. So to put it in short, ask yourself what did this POI cause? And also, I know you're in the private Discord. We just did a class. If you go to lessons where I posted the playlist, I'm still gonna answer it. I'm not trying to divert the question. But after this, go watch the video. We just this last week. The class was the whole class was POI selection. But in short, you want to ask yourself, how significant was the POI? What did it cause? Did it sweep liquidity? Right? Have you refined it? Is there an imbalance in front of it? Is there a liquidity pool in front of it? Right? Because if we have a POI that is just um, let's say I'm gonna use a different example. So let's say you had price was kind of consolidating, and then you had this massive move down, right? So then let's just say you have one POI right there, okay, and then price you're waiting for a short entry. You're going to sell a confirmation entry. You're being responsible. You're waiting for price. And price does this and front runs your zone, and it makes another POI now, right? So now you're angry because maybe you are married to the idea of the short. Maybe you really put a lot of time into waiting, and you've been waiting for this coin to come up into some higher time frame POI that you finally got. Your 4 hour reaction, everything's moving. And you see this. So then what happens? You get mad and you look to do this. Why is my short position that small? What the fuck? Hold on. Okay. What the fuck? But then you look to do this right here, and you fail to realize that you're becoming induced. You're literally becoming a victim of the very techniques and concepts we're using. So you have imbalance here. The initial displacement, when I say how significant, this is the first move. This is what gave us our directional bias. This occurred in a higher time frame POI. This swept liquidity. And what did this do? Well, you look at it like, okay, well, it broke structure, right? But what did it confirm? Where was it at? It wasn't anywhere because you missed the trade. It didn't come to your zone. It didn't come to the imbalance. Maybe it filled it up a little bit all through here, but it did not come to your original plan. So let's just say, okay, what was happening? Why is price going down here? Then it's going. I'm gonna miss it. Well, maybe down here there was a massive expansion, and then there was a fair value gap that needed to be filled, right? And price was kind of just drawing to it. It came down here, started drawing to that liquidity. But guess what's going to happen after it hits this right here? It's going to come up. It might even come in your zone, give you a confirmation, right? Because there is supply here. But guess what's going to happen? most of the time there's an imbalance here. You're going to have target of this or whatever extended target you have. Price is going to do this. Bam, right? Come right back up where you wanted it to. You're going to get stopped out. You're going to be mad, right? But it all comes back down to what is the significance of the POI I'm looking at? Is there a high or low front running it? Is there an imbalance? Did it sweep liquidity? Was it the start of the impulse move? And it'll take a while for a lot of people, but I promise, uh, after losing a bunch of trades, or even if you're still profitable, right? This is not just speaking to people that you know. There's people that are profitable and still have that happen all the time, and yeah, you're definitely profitable. That's if you're profitable trading. I always say don't change anything. But if there's certain things where you notice, a consistent error, a consistent occurrence that is damaging your win rate, a lot of times, in my experience working with you, a lot of times it's just really FOMO, but it's picking the wrong area of the points of interest. Now, whether that's a supply zone or an imbalance, you know, um, for instance, trying to think of an example. The What I'm getting at is, like, if you have, let's say you have a massive, you're moving and then price moves down and it breaks back up, right? So we know that this is inducement already, right? The longs were induced right above that high, then price comes down, liquidates them, and then smart money pushes the upside. Let's just say you do something like this and then break up to the upside, but you leave a massive gap right here. You know, FOMO is going to want to make you play that. But what you should be focusing on is this right here. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any other questions, or let me know if that helped too. Um, I'm glad that was a really good question, because I know a lot of fucking people, 100%, um, have that same issue. I know I did at one point, and it's not easy. That's another thing too. Like, once you get it, it's easy, and you still make mistakes, but it's more clear and you're more confident in it. But no matter how much you work at it or how much you trade, at the end of the day, there's a reason that most people don't make money doing this, or everybody be millionaires here. It's not easy, but it's really developing an understanding of what price is genuinely doing. Like, what do these imbalances mean? What do these supply zones mean? What's occurring there? Why is the algorithm seeking the liquidity that it's seeking? Where is it go? You know what I mean? Like, once you really take in the full narrative and the full picture, that's whenever you start to really be able to navigate with confidence. And then when you're wrong, it just gives you new bias. It's not like the end of the world. It's never fun, but yeah, but it's gonna be interesting open on Monday because we're so close to these levels. I mean, uh, I would I would look for some kind of retracement up above here. I mean, I'd be surprised, extremely surprised, if you don't see something above these highs. It might not be immediate, but and if you look, this isn't just on NOS, right? Look at this S&P weekly imbalance, front running daily equal highs. I mean, it's like, to me, yeah, like that's going to be a potential sell zone for sure. Now US 30 is lagging. I mean, it's been moving, but um I don't see anywhere else it's going for except this all up here, all those equal highs, and it's just clear as day, like, to me. Bell, you're right. My bad. ZP. Felt like I was forgetting something. I haven't looked at that. I used to trade this shit a lot during the 2020 bull run. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this shit looks like a rug pull. Look at that. Rebalance those books. I'd look for that candle right there under these lows as far as the weekly goes. Um, Daily. Jesus Christ. wicks on wicks. Daily, I'd probably look for these to get ran and then move down down there. I'll send an alert just to fuck around because I don't ever trade coins like this, but I kind of this interests me. I mean, pretty clear equal highs, imbalance up here, massive daily order block up here. I wouldn't really pay that much mind because we're tapped into mainly the equal highs. Um, After that, I would look for this imbalance or that weekly order block. This is pretty clear to me too. I like that. See, like whenever I can do that, and even if I'm not saying like whenever I can tell the future, when I can get what I think, you know, yeah. And Adaliki, go ahead, just ask away. You always just ask them. But uh, whenever I can get a quick, confident bias, I like that. If I can't, I usually don't trade that. Now, one thing I do want to go over is USD CAD. So earlier today, I know I signaled it that I was looking for potential shorts, but of course, unless you're in the private Discord, you didn't get an actual direct signal. But um, the we took a sell right here. What I was going for, because we had very volatile news at 10 a.m. right here, so it was kind of aggro, to be honest with you. But I had a feeling that the news, it was the Michigan Consumer Index. I had a feeling that it was going to end up better than just because of PPI, right? And I'm not one to really speculate news, and I wasn't trading just off that. Don't get me wrong, so don't get that twisted. I was looking at this right here. I'll rewind it so you can see what I actually saw. I was looking at that. Right, these equal highs, 1 hour imbalance. It's super clean, right? The reason I had a very short target is because I had a feeling that once price turned around, it was going to turn around hard. Now, I what's funny, I almost set this low, almost, and I just was like, nope, the sell side liquidity is down here under these lows in this little lower time frame imbalance. Almost set it, but then literally that news came out, instant stop at break even. Wasn't a loss, so I mean for me it was actually like a point 0.1 something percent loss because of fees, because it was you can see it's a 5 pip stop, so it's really heavy position size. It was moving. I actually didn't take any profits. I mean I don't know if anybody else did or didn't, but and that goes again what I was saying earlier with those these liquidity rates. It's you know just go for the first liquidity target as long as it meets 2R, like the first one that meets 2R. Like I wouldn't go here, but really I could have gone there. Or no, not that one. It was this low right here. Sorry. Yeah, that would have been a low, and like it would have, you know, and see like okay, yeah, 2R. I get it. It's not the greatest, but let's just if you did, if you hit stuff like this, um, then it's 2R to me is fine. It just depends on the win rate, really. So Adeliki said, we know fundamentals, news don't have any effect in the market or the PA. It's all the algorithm, right? My question is, why do we get so cautious and check economic news when we know that? So what the concept that you're saying is partially true, but um, I promise you, high impact news is going to impact the pair you're on. Now, a lot of times it's priced in, right? I had that whole video about trading news. Um, but news usually is to manipulate and it be a catalyst of a narrative that has already been unfolding, right? Um, for instance, maybe like Elon Musk or Tesla earning reports coming out talking about how Elon Musk sold Bitcoin, right? Everybody wanted to short Bitcoin there, right? So and then all those people got liquidated. So but that was already priced in. Is my point. Now you should be cautious and should be aware of high impact news. Like, for instance, you know, anyone who says that news has no impact, like, I get that that's the narrative that's pushed. We don't want to trade off news. Like, I'm not going to see um, something saying, the Amazon factory got hit by a tornado and I'm not going to go short Amazon. If price action tells me to long, I'm going to long it. So I get what you're saying, but whenever it's actual economic numbers that come out, you need to be. Uh, hey, I appreciate that, Craigo. I really do appreciate that. But you need to be aware of the news, right? Like PPI, inflation. Anytime the Fed is speaking, anytime Jerome Powell is speaking, like go find anyone who tells me that that does not affect price action. And we can go on a chart, and I will copy and paste each time they speak, and we'll watch any major market. It's gonna fucking be like, for instance, let's just look at um S&P, best one. Right, wrong time frame. So what was the day that the FOMC spoke last? I think it was. Let me go back and see. We'll go on here real quick. Yeah, high grade. I got you on FTM. I don't know if I can look at like old things. Maybe. Yeah, I can. Yeah, look at that. I was just look at the dates here. What was I just telling you? It was 27th, 28th. It was right there. It's FOMC, right? All it took was Jerome Powell saying that we're not in a recession. And you get a fucking massive move. That's massive for the S&P. So it's like, you know, they definitely have an effect. But you don't want to, like I said, if you have something telling you, news tells you to short, but price tells you to buy, you go with price. But a lot of the time, it already is priced in. I will say that. FTM. Can't remember what this was. Oh, I remember this actually. I waited on it forever, and then it just like completely did not give a trigger. I had this 4-hour supply. I was like, okay, liquid, everything, and then it just no displacement under here. I posted about that on Twitter. I still have the alert set. I think it was this one actually, but I think I was on a 1 minute. But yeah, it never gave the displacement break in here. As you can see, it just absorbed. Right, even whenever that potential 3 drive was forming, it never got under the low. So there was no trade opportunity there. Obviously, we see that it wanted higher. So let's go see on the daily. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete everything. Um, super fickle where we're at. I would look at this high right there. That's what it seems like it's drawing towards. Um, some buy side liquidity above that. Also, you've got it up here too. Like this would be the major area. I know I usually pick the high in the range, but for me, this price moved really impulsively off that, more so than this, in my opinion. So I'm looking at this, and it's closer. This would be probably the overall target at 43.03. Filled this imbalance, little bit left. If you start to push down, though, I mean, I would say this has been mitigated. I would look more if you do start to push down. These equal lows look appealing. I have equal low. No, I need to make it. That's the two levels I see that are kind of standing out to me on a daily chart, weekly chart. Yeah, weekly chart, I'd probably look after you clear that daily up here. I'd look to retrace pretty hard on the weekly down into this area. After that, though, if you start to see a nice expansion, you could be going for this high because you have satisfied and filled everything down here. You mitigated this order block, completely mitigated the imbalance. I mean, if you don't reverse here, I don't. You're going low, and also you have this absolutely fucking insane impulse move to retrace right there. But overall, I would look at this high on a 4-hour chart. I want to see. You've already been in this area. I just want to see what because we had a sweep of liquidity. So this is a good example. Like this to me would have been a good POI because it swept liquidity. If you're still watching, I don't leaky. So it swept liquidity, right? Pushed up, got that little short-term high, break of structure with displacement. Price moved impulsively away from this low. So there could have been a buying opportunity down in there. Where to? Probably, let's see where this imbalance is. I would say just to like the fill of this imbalance. Obviously you use a low time frame to execute, so your risk to reward would have been better. But here on the 4-hour, go back. It's not the prettiest, to be honest. Not very clear. Let me see. Go back to that 1 hour and see if there's anything that's really standing out. Yeah, I like that zone right there because you have that, and this is another good example. So you see how you have that low front running it right there. Also, if you look at the current impulse swing, and this is the swing structure as well, it's in a discount. You have a low front running it, part of an imbalance from it, definitely displacement. Didn't sweep liquidity, but that's okay. You don't have to have everything. So what I would do, and I'll mark this as well. I know it's a 1 hour POI, but I refined it. I'm going off a 4-hour narrative, so I want to get a 15-minute change of character in that zone, and then after that a 5-minute. And if that's the case, I'll get long, up to this area. I wouldn't long it all the way to the buy side. Like I think we were looking at what coin was that? It was just that was clear. It was equal highs, but this to me, I would just be longing up to the recent highs. I mean, I like this though. I mean, this looks decent to be honest. And there's no law that says we have to go back in here, right? It might go from here, but I wouldn't be participating in this person. Highs right there. Oh yeah, also listen to Tommy. Be like Tommy. Don't forget to like the stream, and also I appreciate the comments. It gives me stuff to talk about. I feel like everybody's been way more active recently. Um, and then anybody that's in the Discord, if you want to unmute your mic, I'll probably get off here in like the next 5. But yeah, I did look at Link. It's in the first 10 minutes of the video, maybe the first 15, but I did look at it.
Did you look at VeChain by chance?
I did not. I will look at VeChain. I haven't looked at that in a while, and also I appreciate it a lot, Bench.
Appreciate you.
For sure.
VeChain, bro. We haven't heard that name in a while,
Bro,
bro.
I know, right? That's that throwback.
You know what I'm saying?
We bought this in Playbit. Like, I mean, actually, it was like around the same price it's at now. But it was before this though. It was like December, like in this area right here.
Dude, they have a crazy advertising campaign with UFC right now.
Really?
Insanely big. They're considering themselves partners, not even like just advertisement. Weird.
That's pretty interesting. Honestly, I mean, looks like you want this high. It's having troubles above this high though, is what I don't like. Look at all those wicks. I mean, it's nothing, no displacement on the downside though, and you do have this massive fucking fair value gap that if you do move down, I could definitely see a potential reversal there. I actually set an alert for this too. So daily chart, it's having some issues, but I mean, this clean high up here in front of that imbalance, just so close to it to me where I mean, it may come back down in this region first. That's where we mark that POI at. I'm gonna mark this as well. So you could see some issue. Now, if you don't reverse in there, right, or if we don't reverse off of this zone, somewhere under this daily imbalance, somewhere in there, if you don't reverse there, that's going to pose a problem. Matic was not covered. I'll go over that, and then Matic will be the last one. I got you. But where is it? Yeah, honestly, under here, you're not looking too hot. Like under what is this? Around this low. So I'm not gonna. I guess I could tell you the number. Under 2927. Under that, if you don't reverse very quickly, because you could reverse on that low, I would look for down into these lows in this imbalance. You got an order block right there too. But look at this weekly chart.
Casper, I'm looking at SPY, bro. The way it closed, the performance, bro. I think the market's gonna continue to pump.
Yeah, it's gonna go to those highs. It's gonna go right to these this right here. And then that weekly, so all these equal highs right here, and then that massive imbalance, weekly imbalance. Wait, what did I just do?
I mean, because you would consider that still
There we go.
bearish?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily consider. I mean, we're obviously bullish we've been bullish as fuck for like the
You
last
know what I'm
month.
saying?
Yeah, but I will say I could see some retracement above that.
Some resistance right there.
Well, yeah, just because there's a ton of liquidity above those highs, you've also got this imbalance. It's at a premium of the initial weekly impulse move. Now, I'm not like married to the short narrative or anything there, but I will definitely be watching for it. And then if you look, I mean, this is massive, but I would see another push up into this, and it doesn't necessarily. It might be some manipulation, like it might be like this, gets up, moves down to the imbalance, comes up, bam, liquidates all the people that shorted here. That would be the thing I would probably watch for. But then you have this whole little buy to sell range inside that imbalance. A lot against the bull narrative there. Also, be a monthly. This is some old. I was doing that from a class, but it'd be that monthly order block right there. So a lot of resistance, so to speak, right there, for sure. Matic, let's do that one. Having some trouble here. Why don't we mark this up the other day? There's a lot of areas of interest up here. That is kind of far off at this point. It doesn't seem like it's really expanding towards that. Also, when you get this kind of action right there like that, that's just eating up all that liquidity. So we're on a 4-hour. I guess I wasn't paying attention, but looks like I gave some short entries. 1 hour, see if there's anything that hasn't been tapped into. I don't really see anything of too much clear interest. I mean, it's just consolidating here. I would probably look for. Let's see how we're reacting in this fair value gap right now. I mean, you could maybe watch low time frames in there, but it's not very strong in my opinion. If anything, I probably wouldn't pay attention to any long narrative there. If anything, oops. If anything, I'd be looking at this. Outside liquidity under these lows. And let's see. I mean, really just a lot of sell side liquidity is what I'm seeing. It looks like you might start drawing back down to the, I mean, I would probably look down because if you see like price reacted to this, this almost might turn to a breaker block because if you look, it's not yet. I mean, I guess well, it did take the stops, but it's not like something we would trade off of yet because you see price pushed up, didn't close. So it's just liquidating all these shorts right here. So all those shorts that are getting covered, smart money is selling to those right? Because they're covering their shorts, they're buying. So we're not. We come back, we trade into this order block. Don't really see much, right? We don't see any kind of massive displacement. We see a reaction as expected, but look at we're just equal lows, moseying on around. Yeah, displacement here, right? But then that reaction gets stop punted, push up here back into that supply that was introduced, during, and this is another example of significant POIs. Now this isn't really clear, but what I'd look for is what caused that break. So you can go all the way to like a 1 hour. Wasn't all that clear. I mean, you could look somewhere in this wick really, because that looks like it liquidated some stops. And this is again POI selection because you're looking like, okay, what happened right here? All those highs got taken out by that candle. So you could look at that like that could be that wick. You could go in more. Sometimes I'll refine stuff a little more in those scenarios. Um, Seems like it was already tapped into here, so it's like it wasn't super clear to me. I probably would have just not traded it just because of that. But if you look, it did come up, got a liquidation into that POI, and we did get a nice reaction with displacement from. So that tells you there were some orders there. If anything, if you could get I know this is like super slim of a POI, and you could even watch this as well. But the reason I like this one is because there's a lot of highs just under it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send an alert for that. Just watch. I'm not going to just sell or anything like crazy like that. But, it seems like there's, they're kind of ranging. So liquidity is being engineered on both sides. We're not getting that massive displacement move out of a fair value gap like you want to see. Yeah, I like this POI as well too. I actually like this. I'll watch both. But look at all these highs, and I'll give you an example. Look at Bitcoin over here, and we went over this on stream. I think it was last week. Look at this. It's a similar kind of thing. Not exact, but the part that I see that's similar is all this, all these people getting short, some making money, a lot just hodling, and then what happens? They get cleaned all out, and that's how it goes, right? So, Matic. I mean, we it's just not it for me yet. But I could see a push up. I wouldn't play longs, but I could see a push up into these zones, maybe a little lower time frame redistribution schematic here. So for instance, let me just pull a fractal. I'm actually curious to see how this looks. Bro, what is going? Okay, never mind. Oh, it's upside down. I think we'd be more in this stage of it. And you can see the similarities. It's not exact same, but it's similar, right? It's that basically just trapping shorts or inducing shorts. So I think we could get this kind of narrative play out on Matic. So let me copy and paste this one now. Go to like a lower time frame too. See what I mean? That was just coincidence. I'm not trying to say it's that the size of this is this. I mean, it actually kind of is similar. That's what I would kind of say. Like maybe these lows get cleaned first. I don't know, but that kind of schematic is what I see here. That's what my eye leans towards. Okay, I just now saw it's more okay. It's more of a wait and watch coin to look for. No entries for now. For good reason, no waves to surf on. Yeah, I mean, for me now, you might have a strategy that there is, right? And there's entries all the time, like on most coins. Like for instance, like I don't. Only interest is, did we raid highs there? No. So that was even more equal. I thought that one got ticked. I see a couple setups that could have been played. For instance, like right here, it's probably a liquidity rate above these highs. Go to like a low time frame. There was some entries. With all these moves, there's some style that's going to give you an entry. Like right here, this is that same thing we're talking about. So look, break a structure, right? And you've got that displacement. Really, actually, it barely pipped it. I can't say I would even play this, but gave the fair value gap, gave the break of structure by a very small amount. It's been the most recent low. Did come down into a displacement. I can't say I would have traded that, to be honest, but it gave it if you did take it. Hindsight's 2020, of course, so I don't want to be one of those guys. But somebody said, "Hey, quick question: how do you play fair value gaps effectively? A lot of times, PA starts running inside of them, and making a decision on the trade becomes difficult, and the price ends up running stops." You mean like you get stopped out? It'd be easier because I got that up until the end. Because if you're saying if it's running away from you and like you mean running the stops that you were targeting or running your stops? Because I get what you're saying if you're saying it, you missed the trade um, because you just you weren't sure. And literally, what I just so to answer your question though, if, how do I play fair value gaps effectively is exactly this right here, what I just went over. So yeah, running your stops. So usually, if you do the first of all, this is what I would look for. So it's the same setup I use on liquidity rates. Now, excuse me. Oftentimes, whenever you're moving to a fair value gap, there's been a liquidity rate. Not always, but oftentimes. And those are the fair value gaps that I would rather play. So let's just go back. Let's actually do a different coin than Matic. Let me do something else that's a little clearer. Well, how about this? Oh yeah, we didn't even go over this. We'll go over this is a perfect example. This is a trade I took today. I had targets that were more extended. I wanted the previous day low, but we just didn't move. I mean, it was still 50 pips, nice 4-1 on the same day, little to no drawback. But now this setup was a fair value gap play. So look, we had this fair value gap in the 1 hour. I got to my desk. I think it was around 8. I don't know. It was before we ran into this. No, I guess it was earlier. But I got to my desk and noticed we had pushed into this fair value gap. Now look, we rated highs right here. So now what do we know? Well, we know that we have taken out the high. We know we're in a fair value gap. Now the important thing is your fair value gap at a premium of an impulse move? So this is an impulsive move to me and price consolidated. So is it at a premium? Yes. Did you raid liquidity moving into it? Yes. Now, after that, what I'll do is I'll go into the 1 minute. Now, we didn't even get the craziest entry here, right? I actually did this. That's what it was. I got to my desk after it happened because I was just saying, I was like, I think I was at the gym at 7. But now the absolute snipe entry, and it was very clear here, price came into it. This is what I was talking about earlier. Price moves into it, dumb money shorts, smart money liquidates, and so you wait for that stop hunt. Now, after the stop hunt, you look for a break of structure with displacement. So look what you have right there. Super clear. This is a very clean trade if you'd have taken it here. So that's how I would effectively, trade a fair value gap. Now, you had a very, very easy target there. You had equal lows down here below. And now I know that I'm talking about not targeting farther away. First of all, this is only 3-1. Second of all, this trade was built off of more of a daily narrative of that price is pushing down. So we filled that imbalance and moved away from it pretty hard. But that's how I would trade a fair value gap. Now the way that we traded this down here was I saw the reaction because everything, and this is what I was saying earlier about understanding price and what's going on, right? So Remember, that's how we got the initial, the first aggro 1 minute entry, right? But remember, price is fractal. So the low time frames make up the high time frame. So when we have this another impulse move down here, guess what's probably happening on the 15 minute? Look at that. We had taken a 15-minute low with displacement. What did we leave? A fair value gap. Now, it looks much different, but let's just kind of recap. What is the difference between trading this right here and trading this up here? The time frame. It's the only difference. And we had more confluence because we're confirming that higher time frame with a 15-minute. Now the 1 minute was the quickest, right? And since it was pro daily bias, also, this is kind of an accumulation, manipulation, distribution scenario. We moved above the midnight high open, not midnight high, the midnight open, manipulated these stops into the fair value gap, into that price delivery rate in a premium, and then expanded the downside distribution. But now we had that 15-minute fair value gap. So how did I play that? Same thing. Once price came up and tapped into it, what did I look for? Break a structure to the downside. Now, I don't know how this got moved. This was like this. But if you see, look at the bottom, 1.3739. So whenever, here, I'll pull this up so you guys can see it. A second. So up here, I had set the limits. Look at that, 1.3739. Right, price that was right at, because you can see I had that just that little fair value gap marked. Now I also said, if your risk allows it, feel free to mark it here, right? Because I think it was 4 pips different in the stop loss. So just so you could see that, look what price did. Look where price went. And I look up here. See where my mouse is? If you see the high, most of you guys already know this, but look at the high right there, that number. I'm going to mouse over this candle. What is the high? 137.39, the exact limit we have. So then price hit that, and you see how impulsive that moved away from that, right, to the 10th of a pip. Now, with that news, right, look at the time down here, 10 a.m., it did move back up. We had a little bit of drawback there. But that's all right. Right, it was just any kind of massive move like that in United States dollar, which is a reserve currency, even though this is euro against the yen, it still is going to have an effect just because this is a major cross. US dollar moving super crazy is going to have an effect on everything. But beautiful trade nonetheless. Target of these lows, and then again the original target was the previous daily lows, but we did not get that move and closed right before we took. I think we shaved some off. Where is it? Yeah, move stops to break even, and then we hit TP1. Took a little off. We were down in this range, really just kind of where the same area it closed, and then took everything but 20%, and then just closed the rest at the end of the day to close the week out. Pretty nice. Yeah, so I hope that helped on how I traded fair value gap. That's a great example. I literally did that today. So yeah, but I'm gonna hop off here. I really appreciate the fuck out of all you guys. Again, if you could like and comment, just blow this shit up. It helps me a shitload. And also subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Until then, I just you guys that have been with me for a little bit, you know what I'm about to say. But go out and enjoy yourself. Don't you know? I'm one to zombie on charts. I spent a lot of time during the week on charts, right? So on the weekend I try not to, right? I trade 5 days a week. This is what I do full time. So if you're the same way, get the fuck outside, get some sunlight, spend some time with the people that you love, and get the fuck off charts. If you must stay on charts, just don't trade. Just back test, study, watch some videos. But yeah, and I appreciate all you guys as always, for real. I will see you all on Monday though. Peace.